Welcome back to the Rules Plus podcast. In the course of 15 episodes of this podcast preparing for the 2024 season, I've tapped three resources for reviewing the content, intent, philosophy, interpretation, application, and even the history of NCAA football rules that govern, with a few tactical UIL exceptions, Texas high school football. I've completed a 12-episode review of the 12 chapters of the Rogers Ratings Study Guide. I've followed with reviews of the major rules changes, editorial changes, and points of emphasis in the NCAA Football 2024 Rules Book itself. And in the last two episodes, I've reviewed guidelines from the 2024 NCAA Football Instant Replay Casebook. But all that was the warm-up act. The season started last week, so now it's time to stay up to date with information directly from the primary source, Secretary and Rules Editor Steve Shaw himself, who regularly issues in-season quizzes, play interpretations bulletins, and videos for members of the college football officiating cohort of NCAA football officials. If you don't know, the CFO organization was formed in 2008 by the NCAA and the Collegiate Commissioners Association to ensure the consistent application of NCAA football playing rules and policies around the country. One extraordinary privilege of membership in the Texas Association of Sports Officials is our eligibility for all Texas high school officials to join the CFO at a discounted cost. Membership provides access to all the CFO resources I've just referred to that active college officials use to support their professional development. Already, CFO members have received the 2024 NCAA/CFO National Rules Test Study Guide, 6 Shaw/Blandino preseason quizzes, 2 Shaw-Blandino weekly quizzes, 2 timely Shaw play interpretation bulletins, 7 preseason Shaw training videos, the first in-season Shaw training video, and the first in-season Dean Blandino instant replay memo. For this Rules Plus episode, I'm going to share portions of the 2 important interpretations bulletins and of the 2 weekly quizzes. So here we go. Bulletin 1, Play Interpretations, issued in August. The first bulletin addresses situations that are irrelevant to Texas high school football concerning the new provision for electronic coach-to-player communications and the impact of the new 2-minute timeout. But one play in the bulletin is, nevertheless, instructive for us. The play involves operating the play clock when the 2-minute timeout immediately follows a down during which a player's helmet comes off. The lesson for us concerns how to operate the play clock in the more general circumstance when a timeout immediately follows such a down. So here's the play. Quote, on 2nd and 10 at the B40, late in the game, A22 runs for 8 yards and is tackled short of the line to gain. The game clock reads 1:58 when A22 is downed. B54's helmet came off, not a direct result of a foul, during the play. Ruling. The game clock is stopped at 1:58 for the 2-minute timeout and for B54's helmet being off. Even with a Team B helmet off, the play clock will be set to 25 seconds following the 2-minute timeout, and the game clock will start on the snap. The same play clock treatment would occur with a Team B injury on the play. End quote. The point for us is that in this scenario, the clock stopped at the end of the down for multiple reasons. The helmet coming off is certainly one, but the timeout is certainly another. In a Texas high school game, there would not be a 2-minute timeout, but there certainly could be a charged team timeout. Rule 3310B1 provides that the play clock shall be set to 40 seconds if the only reason that the game clock is stopped is for a defensive player's helmet coming off, except after a charged team timeout. With 1:58 left in the game and the game clock stopped until the snap, it's hardly a critical difference whether Team A receives a 40 or 25-second play clock. And I can't imagine that many, if any, college or high school crews would not know that coming out of a charged timeout, we are going to have a 25-second play clock. So, why would the rules editor feel a bulletin is required to lend clarity where clarity would not seem to be in question? My guess is that the real point of this bulletin is to add further clarity about the 2-minute timeout, which, after all, introduces a novel concept, a timeout that is neither discretionary by a referee nor charged to a team. Does 3310B1 apply to the 2-minute timeout? Indeed, it does, as indicated explicitly by an editorial change, but not indicated as a major rules change, and now also indicated explicitly by a bulletin. The 2-minute timeout appears to be essentially the same thing as a charged team timeout. While that's not relevant to us in Texas high school football, it's certainly interesting to us as fans in our easy chair on Saturdays. Bulletin 2, Play Interpretations, also issued in August. While Bulletin 1 addresses late half timing complications introduced by helmet off timeouts, Bulletin 2 addresses parallel late half timing complications introduced by injury timeouts. Consider what happens when the clock must be stopped for a player injury when the 10-second runoff provision is in effect. The provision in 336F provides that if a player injury is the only reason for stopping the clock, other than that player's helmet or a teammate's helmet coming off, the opponent has the option of a 10-second runoff. I find this rule to be awkwardly phrased, with the parenthetical qualification expressed in the phrase other than. What the rule is saying is that if the clock must be stopped only for an injury and or for that player's helmet coming off, the 10-second runoff may be applied. But if anything else happens besides an injury and or a helmet off episode, there is no option for the 10-second runoff. Think of what else could occur during a down besides an injury or a player losing his helmet that would both provide a reason to stop the clock and include restarting the clock on the ready for play. I can think of three things. Team A is awarded a first down. Team A's forward fumble goes out of bounds, or a penalty is completed. If any of these events occurs in conjunction with a player injury, there is no option for a 10-second runoff. Some coaches have thought through the possibilities for taking advantage of what they regard as a loophole with this arrangement. As a result, there is now Bulletin 2, which took effect immediately in time for the games over the weekend preceding Labor Day. Here, in full, is what the bulletin says, and this is rather lengthy. Quote, questions are currently being raised from coaches concerning end-of-game scenarios and how the 10-second runoff rule would be administered. Specifically, the questions surround how feigning an injury after making a first down inbounds could avoid the 10-second runoff rule. The CFO LLC Board of Managers, which includes all FBS commissioners and 2 FCS commissioners, discussed this on its preseason call and approved language to close a potential loophole in the rules. If no adjustment is made, a team could gain a first down inbounds and gain a significant clock advantage by having an injury, feigned or real. Therefore, to prevent teams from taking advantage of this loophole in the 10-second runoff rule, the CFO commissioners unanimously approved the language below that would close this loophole, and we received an immediate endorsement of the rules language from the Rules Committee members. This will be an exception to the language component in Rule 336F that states it is a 10-second runoff if the player injury is, quote, the only reason for stopping the clock, end quote. The exception will be, again, quote, within this larger quote, if a player injury occurs on a play where there is a temporary stoppage of the clock for a first down, and the clock is stopped with 10 seconds or less remaining in the second or fourth quarters, the opponent has the option of a 10-second runoff. The 10-second runoff may be avoided by use of a charged team timeout if available. End of that interior quote and end of the overall quote. The bulletin does not address the other two scenarios I suggested of a forward fumble going out of bounds or completing a penalty. But those scenarios don't include an opportunity for a team to deliberately take advantage of the so-called loophole. So it seems reasonable that the commissioners are content to address only the circumstance when there is a first down. 4 play scenarios follow in the bulletin to illustrate application of this exception. And I will read all 4 of these. So again, this is rather lengthy, but I think you'll find this valuable. Play number 1, 3rd and 10 at the B30. Late in the fourth quarter, Team A completes a pass over the middle, and A88 is tackled inbounds at the B15 for a first down. A88 remains on the ground, and the referee declares an official's timeout for injury. There is A, 0.05 seconds, that is 5 seconds on the game clock. B, 15 seconds on the game clock. Ruling. In A, Team B has the option of a 10-second runoff. Team A can avoid the runoff if it has a charged timeout remaining. The game is over if the 10-second runoff option is exercised. In B, there is no option for a 10-second runoff. The clock will start on the referee's signal following the injury timeout. Okay, play number 2. 3rd and 10 at the B30. Similar situation. Late in the fourth quarter, Team A completes a pass over the middle, and A88 is tackled inbounds at the B15 for a first down. At the snap, A, Team B had 12 players on the field. B, Team A's formation was not legal. C, A77's helmet came off during the play, not a direct result of a foul by an opponent. A88 remains on the ground, and the referee declares an official's timeout for injury. There are 5 seconds remaining on the game clock. Ruling. In A, there is no option for a 10-second runoff since the official's timeout includes addressing the illegal substitution by Team B. B, there is no option for a 10-second runoff since the official's timeout includes addressing the illegal formation by Team A. C, Team B has the option of a 10-second runoff. Team A can avoid the runoff if it has a charged timeout remaining. The game is over if the 10-second runoff option is exercised. All right, play number 3. 3rd and 10 at the B30. Late in the fourth quarter, Team A's pass is A, complete, and A88 runs out of bounds at the B15 for a first down. B is incomplete. A88 remains on the ground, and the referee declares an official's timeout for injury. There are 5 seconds remaining on the game clock. Ruling. There is no option for a 10-second runoff since, in A, the runner is out of bounds, stopping the game clock, and B, the pass is incomplete, stopping the game clock. And finally, play 4. 3rd and 10 at the B30. Late in the fourth quarter, Team A completes a pass over the middle, and A88 is tackled inbounds at the B15 for a first down. B27 remains on the ground, and the referee declares an official's timeout for injury. There is A, 5 seconds on the game clock, B, 15 seconds on the game clock. Ruling. In A, Team A has the option of a 10-second runoff, which they may decline, and the clock will start on the snap. In B, there is no option for a 10-second runoff. The clock will start on the referee's signal following the injury timeout. So, the takeaway is quite specific. With 10 seconds or less remaining in either half, if, in addition to a clock stoppage for an injury, there is a second reason for a stoppage due to Team A being awarded a first down, the opponent has the option of a 10-second runoff. Now, on to the first of the two quizzes, the Shaw-Blandino Weekly Quiz for Week 0, which was issued on August 22nd. In case you don't know, the weekly Shaw-Blandino quizzes consist of 10 items meant to, quote, promote robust crew discussions, end quote, rather than to be official play interpretations akin to the approved rulings in Part 3 of the NCAA Rules Book. Each quiz is released on a Thursday, with the answers released on the following Monday. The first 8 items address on-field rulings, and the final 2 items concern instant replay. The typical response for each of items 1 through 8 is to provide 4 bits of information about how the next play will set up. Which team is in possession, the down and distance, the succeeding spot, and the status of the game clock. The convention for any scenario is to assume that a penalty is accepted unless it is offset or declined by rule. I'm not going to review all of the on-field scenarios in the Week 0 quiz. Several items on the Week 0 quiz concern the helmet off and injury scenarios we just reviewed from Bulletin 2. And several items concern continuity of downs during extra periods when there are turnovers, which is an interesting subject, but that's for another time. So I'm going to review items 7 and 8 concerning kick down scenarios we can expect to see just about every Friday. So, quiz item 7. 4th and 12 at the A35. Team A lines up in scrimmage kick formation and intends to punt. Immediately after the snap, B55 grabs right tackle A77 and pulls him to the side, and B21 shoots the gap in an attempt to block the punt. The punter gets the punt away, and the ball is down at the B35. All right, before I share the ruling, let's do some thinking out loud. How should we attack this play? I think the greatest study value of completing these CFO quizzes every week is not so much determining the correct outcome for each item as reinforcing our internalized heuristic for attacking each problem presented. Heuristic is a fancy rhetorical term for using a strategy or set of strategies consistently to explore topics or discover solutions to problems. Let me suggest a simple but powerful heuristic, or checklist, if you will, to apply to every play situation. I suggest that perhaps we should determine in order perhaps these 7 things. 1. What is the foul? 2. Who committed the foul? 3. When did the foul occur? 4. During what kind of play did the foul occur? 5. Where was the foul committed? 6. What was the outcome of the down? And 7. What are the options for the offended team? That is, the enforcement spot, the yardage, and what about the next down? Let's complete this checklist for the scenario in item 7 of the quiz. 1. Well, the foul is defensive holding. B55 committed the foul. B55 fouled at the snap. The foul occurred during a scrimmage kick play. The foul occurred at the neutral zone. Team B will next snap the ball at the B35. And defensive holding carries a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down from the basic spot. Well, answering questions 3, 4, 5, and 6 is especially important in establishing really critical details. Based on the answers in this checklist, it sure sounds like post-scrimmage kick enforcement may apply here. So we must determine, are the four essential conditions for PSK satisfied? Condition 1. The scrimmage kick is not during a try, a successful field goal, or an extra period. Check. Condition 2. The ball crossed the neutral zone. Check. Condition 3. The foul occurred before the end of the kick. Check. Condition 4. Team B will next put the ball in play. Check. When PSK enforcement applies, the basic enforcement spot is the end of the kick, and by the 3-and-1 principle, the enforcement spot is the basic spot, not the spot of the foul. So, we could respond to quiz item 7 with these 4 bits of information about the next play. We'll have Team B with 1st and 10 at the B45 with the clock starting on the snap after a legal kick play. So, now let's see what the correct answer is according to Steve Shaw and Dean Blandino. I will quote it here. Ruling. The ball belongs to Team A, 1st and 10 at the A45. The clock starts on the snap. The action by B55 is holding. This foul occurred before the kick, and the penalty is not governed by post-scrimmage kick enforcement. The 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot and includes an automatic first down. The reference 934 penalty. End quote. What? Where did we go wrong in our problem solving? Well, quiz item 7 borders on being a trick question because the best heuristic in the world cannot work reliably if we don't have thorough rule knowledge and complete on-site information. If you look at the language of 10.2.3b, introducing the 4 conditions necessary for PSK enforcement to apply, it's easy to miss what is essentially a 5th condition. Quote, post-scrimmage kick enforcement applies only to fouls by Team B during a scrimmage kick. If you look at our answer to heuristic checklist item number 4, we correctly noted that the holding foul occurred during a scrimmage kick play. Trouble is, that 5th condition that PSK applies to fouls during the kick, not during the kick play, is not noted in our checklist item number 4. There were hints in checklist items 3 and 5 that we missed. The foul occurred at the snap at the neutral zone. We must be aware that while a scrimmage kick play is defined as, quote, action during the interval between the snap and when a scrimmage kick comes into player possession, end quote, the kick itself does not occur until the kick occurs. The point is that fouls at the snap by Team B will not be covered by PSK because of this subtle distinction between a kick play and the actual kick. For example, if Team B is offside at the snap during a punt play, we'll penalize from the previous spot, not from the end of the kick. Often it's the case that we know stuff, but we forget we know stuff when a situation presents a different wrinkle than what we're used to. And look at what difference it makes in this scenario to not have PSK enforcement apply. Team A ends up keeping the ball, possibly to the surprise of Team B's coaching staff. If we are asked to explain a surprising enforcement to a disbelieving coaching staff, can we do so comfortably? Let's look now at quiz item 8. Does a similar trick lurk here? Quiz item 8. Free kick at the A35. A98's kick is muffed in flight by B21 in his end zone. While the ball is loose in the end zone, B21 bats the ball out of the back of the end zone. So, again, how do we attack this play? Well, let's answer the 7 checklist questions. 1. The foul is illegal batting in the end zone. 2. B21 committed the foul. 3. B21 fouled while the ball was in the end zone. 4. The foul occurred during a free kick play. 5. The foul occurred in the end zone. 6. Team B will next snap the ball at the B25. 7. Illegal batting carries a 10-yard penalty from the basic spot. Perhaps this heuristic needs more work because there are other questions to answer besides these. Should the ball have been ruled dead when it hit the ground in the end zone? Is it indeed a foul for Team B to bat the ball in the end zone? Which team is responsible for the ball being in the end zone? Does Team B's batting change responsibility, impetus, or status of the ball? Well, let's address these additional questions. The ball remained alive because it did not hit the ground in the end zone untouched by Team B. It is a foul to bat the ball in any direction in the end zone, though there is an exception for Team A, but not for Team B. If Team A does so, there is no foul, and the batting is deemed to be an illegal touching violation. The free kick by Team A imparted the impetus that put the ball in the end zone, so the result of the play without a foul would be a touchback. Muffing the kick by B21 did not change the ball's status or impetus. So, to repeat, Team A is responsible for the ball being in the end zone. So here's the Shaw-Blandino ruling. The ball belongs to Team B, 1st and 10 at the B25, clock starts at the snap. Or the ball belongs to Team A, re-kick from the A45, free kick rules. The result of the play is a touchback. The foul for illegally batting a ball in the end zone by B21, that's covered in 941C, occurs during the kick, and the penalty enforcement would be 10 yards from the previous spot, which is the A35. And the reference here is 10.2.2D4A. All right, moving on to the Shaw-Blandino Weekly Quiz 1, that is for Week 1. That was issued on August 29th. The Week 1 Shaw-Blandino quiz features 3 interesting scenarios for us, focused on kick plays, which of course are always a source of adventure. Here's a scenario involving an unsuccessful field goal attempt that includes blocking the ball, touching the ball, crisscrossing the neutral zone, and Team A falling on the ball after all the adventure. Quiz item 3. 4th and goal at the B10. A98's field goal attempt is partially blocked behind the neutral zone by B54, but continues in flight and hits the ground at the B5. It then rebounds to the B13, where B44 muffs it. A21 recovers while grounded at the B11. Well, we could easily have several questions after this play. Who is eligible to touch the ball when it hits the ground at the B5? Did B54's touching of the ball behind the neutral zone change eligibility? Does eligibility change when the ball rebounds to the B13? Does eligibility change when B44 muffs the ball? Is A21's recovery legal? Let's address those questions with a quick recap of eligibility rules in Rules 6.3, Articles 1 through 6. A scrimmage kick that fails to cross the neutral zone remains in play, and anyone may catch or recover the ball and advance it. Blocking a kick is not deemed to be touching by Team B. Once the kick crosses the neutral zone, no members of Team A may touch it until it's touched by Team B. A kick that has crossed the neutral zone remains alive if possessed by Team B, but becomes dead if possessed by Team A. The impetus of the ball is not changed unless the ball is batted after hitting the ground or is illegally kicked. The status of the ball does not change, ever, even after new impetus is imparted. So, with that quick and dirty review of provisions regarding a ball that is loose from a legal scrimmage kick, see if the ruling makes sense to you. Here it is. The ball belongs to Team A, first and 10 at the B11. Clock starts on the snap. Team B has touched a scrimmage kick that has crossed the neutral zone, so all players become eligible to legally recover the ball. References are to Rule 633 and approved ruling 842, play Roman 8. Quiz item 5 concerns a scrimmage kick play during which there is a foul by Team A, which means Team B has an option between two possible enforcements. Quiz item 5. Fourth and 10 at the A10. A98's untouched punt from his end zone goes out of bounds at Team A's 30-yard line. A21, in his end zone, grabs B55's face mask before the ball is kicked. We should be careful here not to forget that Team B has its pick of 2 enforcement spots. Our first instinct may be that Team B is going to want the penalty as the result of the foul in the end zone. In fact, that may be the first instinct of the Team B coach as well. We should have the presence of mind to remind ourselves and the Team B coach that there's another option, as indicated in the ruling. So here is the ruling. Safety, 2 points for Team B, and Team A, free kick at the A20. Or Team B gets the ball, first and 10, at the A15. Clock starts on the snap, of course. Team B may accept the penalty for A21's foul, which occurred in the end zone, and that would result in a safety and 2 points for Team B. There's a reference to 10-22B here. Team B's other option is to snap the ball at the Team A 15-yard line after enforcement of the 15-yard penalty from the spot where the ball belongs to Team B, which is the A30. And there's a rule reference here to 6.3.13. The final quiz item addresses another topic we just visited from the Week 0 quiz concerning batting by Team A of a loose ball in Team B's end zone during a scrimmage kick. Here's quiz item 6. Fourth and 10 at the 50. A98 punts, and the kick is untouched beyond the neutral zone when A88 reaches across Team B's goal line before the ball touches the ground in the end zone and bats it back into the field of play. B22 muffs the ball at the B2, and A43 recovers it at the B6. While the ball is loose, B77 holds A21 at the B10. Well, be careful in deciding what to do in this scenario that is complicated by 4 things that make things look unusual and complicated. There is the batting, the muffing, the holding, and finally the recovering by the kicking team. Here's the ruling. Team A, first and 10 at the B40, clock starts on the snap. Post-scrimmage kick rules do not apply to B77's foul since Team B will not next put the ball in play. Reference to Rule 10.2.3. Team A may cancel the illegal touching privilege by accepting B77's holding penalty, which is enforced at the previous spot with an automatic first down. Reference here to Rules 632B and 10.2.2D4A. When we get plays right, like these, in the weekly quizzes, we can really look good, especially if it's not just the referee who can explain what's going on. Wing officials can leave a good impression if they can digest what's about to happen and explain to the coach what's about to unfold. A closing word. I hope you'll continue to make time to listen to upcoming weekly episodes of this podcast, as we are now into in-season discussions of topical subjects. Remember, I'm a member of the Austin Football Officials Association. If you'd like to learn more about us, contact us. You can email us at recruiting@afoa.ws, visit our website at www.austinfootballofficials.org, call us at 512-298-2987, or follow us on your favorite social media platforms, including Instagram at ATX Football Refs and Facebook at Austin Football Officials Association. Until next time, have a great week.